Since we started the channel, we've received a lot of questions about certain items in our collection, but one of them keeps coming up, and that's the original Popy GoLion from Japan, which Americans know better as Voltron, but it was actually released in Japan in 1981. We finally decided we were going to sit down and talk about the Popy Chogokin GoLion. So I guess I'll just kick it off. Give our viewers an overview of why GoLion resonates with you.
When we watched the cartoon for the first time, I had never seen Voltron, and so I really had no expectations of what I would be watching. There were several things that resonated with me. One was the symbolism being very Christian and Western. Their costumes and the way that they animated the characters were very Western. There was a princess, and they talked about demons and hell and all of that. So I was just really curious, as an anthropologist, how people originally had viewed the show. In terms of why I wanted the robot, I just thought he was really beautifully constructed. I thought the sword was... I collect weapons anyway, so it was one of the coolest looking weapons that I'd ever seen.
From an art and design standpoint, the one right here in front of us right now is the Japanese export to the United States, which for all intents and purposes is identical, minus a few details for our viewers who don't know. The sword and the shield actually are from one of our Popy Chogokins when it's on display, when the Matchbox is on display. This is the Matchbox edition. But tell me, what's the artistic allure for you? In other words, we could just run out tomorrow and buy 5 Matchbox Voltrons. What, in your mind, makes the Popy one more desirable? Is there something about the design of the box? Is there something about the way it looks?
This particular box, to me, in terms of the artwork, is just... I mean, you can't compare from all of the GoLion Voltron boxes that we've seen, because I've kind of seen them all now. It looks very high-end, you know, because it's got the gold leaf on the front, and it's got all the Japanese lettering, which, for me, that's sort of the high selling point. But it's also got this cool English on the bottom, black lion, red lion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The box over here, I know you can't really see it, but there's this great, the lightning coming down and hitting the robot, and, you know, he's just standing there in all of his glory. It's just, I don't know, it really, you can see from across the room that it's an Asian box.
I actually grew up without the metal one. I think we mentioned this in some shows. This is the only piece of the metal Voltron I ever had. I had the Black Lion, and after that I got the Panache Place Voltron, which has its lovers and its haters. I'm a fan of the Panache Place, but I always wished I'd had the metal Voltron. When I purchased my Matchbox Voltron, which still had the box, it said Voltron 3 on it, I thought that was the end of it. I thought, I have the metal Voltron.
Sure.
That's it. And then after we discovered Beast King GoLion, suddenly knowing that the original show had so much context,
Right.
that then the original box with the original GoLion logo on it and the pilots all on there, it had all of the weapons that were displayed in the show and all of the firing features and everything like that the Matchbox was denied. I just felt like I had to grab it for our collection.
Tell me about the morning that this little guy arrived.
Well, it was kind of like seeing GoLion for the first time, the show, because you grow up feeling like you're familiar with something, Voltron in this case, and then you watch it 20 years later, having not seen it in 2 decades, and it doesn't hold up necessarily, and then you watch GoLion, which redeems the show for you, and at the same time reinvents it. And so my whole childhood, when it came to Voltron, I thought the Matchbox Voltron was it. I thought that was the pinnacle of Voltronness for toys. I thought that it's all metal, it's super detailed, it has firing fists, it has, you know, ears that pop out with cannons, and, you know, it's just that's there's nothing better. Well, just like the GoLion show turned Voltron on its ear, the GoLion Popy Chogokin showing up completely turned my perceptions around on what the Matchbox Voltron really was, which was a pared down, watered down version of the original toy, just like Voltron is a watered down version of GoLion. And then afterwards, I can't remember what crazy logic came over me, but it was because the same seller that I'd gotten the first one from came up with another one, and it was complete, but it had been played with. And so the box, and it's this one right here, the box isn't as in good of shape, but it's still complete, and it had everything in it, and I thought, that's one that I can display. That's one that I can put the lions out and display. Now, for both of these, I need to stress, we have never assembled the robot, because there are unique features to these editions that really make that unadvisable, especially now that they're 30 years old. The unique feature of the early Popy Chogokins for GoLion is that the red and green lions have chrome tails and chrome elbow joints, which I'll show you in close-up. The interesting part about getting the second one, if you remember, was it's still a Popy Chogokin GoLion, but in this case, it had no chrome tails and half chrome elbows in the red and green lions. And so what you see is this progression before it gets to the American export, which has no chrome on the elbows or tails of the green and red lions, and a few other features, like the American version doesn't have the sharp teeth on the lions, whereas these have the sharp teeth.
That's one of the worst features of the American version, in my opinion. You know, the sharp teeth are just really a great feature. Right. I mean, aside from all the cool firing stuff and all the weapons, the teeth really add something, you know, to both the lions and to Voltron or GoLion himself. What made it important enough to you?
I think there's a few factors. The factors are, one, we've been told many times that in Japan, this show was not popular.
Right.
That has been debated, but clearly, even though it had one season, which story arcs there run differently for television, it is not the long-standing franchise that, say, Macross is, or, you know, Mazinger, things like that are still, you know, really loved over there. And it has not made its way into the Bandai Soul of Chogokin line yet, so it has a lower priority for them. So that made it scarcer than some of the other robots that you can collect. It has the Voltron Connection, so that means Japanese robot collectors want it. Voltron collectors in America want it.
Sure.
Because it's the original Voltron. This toy is so accurate for the technology of the time to the character that it was depicting. Mm-hmm. I don't think anything beats it from back then. I don't think there's any other robot toy anything that was as accurate and carefully engineered as this one was. And that's what we saw when we were kids. You know, even though it didn't have all the missiles and it didn't have all it didn't even have the sword with it, we saw how accurate it was to the show. I mean, yes, the red and green lions were a little too small, but that was for engineering purposes. Right. The faces were the same, the arms were unique. I mean, you look at you look at Black Lion, and you know he's got the right proportions. I think he looks great. Some people say he looks a little too boxy, but I think he looks really good. I mean,
I agree with you, and I think obviously I'm not going to take something like this out of the box and get down on the floor and play with him like I'm a 4-year-old or whatever, like I said in my video. But in my opinion, if I were going to answer the question you asked me, what I think makes this probably, in a lot of ways, the best of all of the GoLions is that it has a lot of what the Masterpiece Voltron has in the terms of design and capturing from the show what the robot is. But it has that this bulk and the ability, and of course it has all of the cool weapons as well, which obviously the Masterpiece wasn't intended to have, but
I think it's a museum-worthy piece because it's not online every day.
no.
You know, you can get a Stormtrooper every day. You can get pretty much every G.I. Joe you want every day online. They're always out there. They're in abundance. They're in demand, but they're in abundance. And Voltron was the underdog. He got bowled over real quickly by the Transformers.
Right.
And to know that GoLion was the underdog in Japan, it like adds to this whole synergy between, you know, this toy and the experience of being a Voltron / GoLion fan. Well, I hope this has been enlightening for you. A lot of people have asked about the Popy GoLion that's in our collection, and, you know, abracadabra, we have 2. I guess I'm one of the few people that's crazy enough to purchase 2 of these, but it's just such an iconic robot, and it's such a symbol of the 1980s, and especially knowing that this is the original of the original, that I just couldn't pass up having more than one in my collection. I know that there aren't many discussions about this online yet, so I hope that this one has been enjoyable for you, and we'll see you on the next video.
Yeah.